All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Slow Pitch Softball meeting this evening. My name is Bob Covert. I will be hosting this evening's discussion. And just keep in mind that it is a discussion. Brian Smith will help me along with that as well. But I do want to say welcome. So again, welcome, introductions, and etc. So first of all, we're going to start out with new rules. Okay. I know there's probably 9 new rules. Most of them that are in there are cleanup of words and etc. But there's 3 that pertain to slow pitch as well as fast pitch. One really is a slow pitch rule, but there's 2 other ones that pertain to all of the softball. It doesn't matter which game that you're playing. So the first one here is in regards to equipment and the official bat, more specifically to a cone or something that can be added to the bat that no longer needs to be taped to be permanently affixed to the bat. So they basically took that out. So the handle region of the bat must have a grip made of cork, tape, etc. No bare metal. Really, that's that safety area, safety tape grip that the bats are required to have, right? And then it also goes on to say that, rosin and pine tar or spray substance can be used in that region to make the bat sticky, but they only want it in that 15-inch range, right? 15-inch range. They don't want it all the way up the bat. But there are folks that do add those plastic rubberized silicone cones at the end just to flare. Those are now considered permanently fixed when they're on the bat. The second rule that applies is this the American Disability Act rule. Really what this has done is included a diabetic into that disability rule. And what they've really done is asked that the coach manager, when they come to the managers meeting at the plate, that they disclose that they have a person that may have a situation that may arise. However, if they do have a player, they haven't disclosed it, then we're going to allow that player still to have that bracket. We're allowing that player to be substituted for without penalties, so they can take care of what their diabetic issue might be. And then when they're ready to come in, they're allowed to come back in. So we do have a question on this particular rule, Brian. If you can help me out with that. What if there's no official substitute available?
What the guideline was said to me is basically find somebody that may be deeper in the order that can be used as a person. It will not count against them as a reentry or so forth, but or unless there's somebody that has been taken out of the game and has used up their eligibility to re-enter, we could use that person again also.
All right, Dan, I need you to turn your mute on, please.
Hey, Bob, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So if say it's the number 5 spot and he has a disability and he's taken out and they have no subs going along with what you're talking about, do we just skip that spot until he comes back without an out?
No, that's what.
Just a reminder that if you're not speaking, please put yourself on mute. We're hearing quite a bit of background noise.
All right, I think I got him. I think that's what we're trying to establish here, Don. Brian has indicated that say the number 5 batter is the one that needs to be substituted for. You might take batter number 1 if they're available, put them into that location to rebat, if you will.
Oh,
Lack
really?
of a better term.
So basically, say one batted to start the inning, and 2, 3, 4, then they're still batting. 5 comes up, and they can take anybody in the batting order that's already batted and put in that spot again.
If they don't have a substitute is, I believe the way I interpreted what Brian has indicated. If there is somebody on the bench, then use that person first.
Right.
And there's no penalty for that person coming in. So it's not like you've used a substitution, so they don't have to come back into that location.
Isn't that going to be an issue with a really good player taking that spot, being all at bat twice in a lineup?
It very well could be.
Could be, and the other thing was that too, is we can't play doctor, so we have to go by what the coach tells us, and they have to live with they're conscious with that, but I don't know if this will come into play. If it starts to come into play this year in your league rules and like that, please let me know, because I can pass this on to the national office to see if we can amend this rule somehow.
I do have a question.
So Brian, if that person that took the person with the ADD issue is on base when it's their turn to bat, are they then allowed to replace that player under the ADD rules? Or would that person then be out based on the prior rules that we had?
We're still under basically the ADA rule, so we could do something with that. What you're gonna probably want to do as an umpire is make sure that we don't get into that situation, that they get somebody that's not gonna come into play like that. So that's why I would go backwards in the order instead of going frontwards. If that makes sense.
Hey, Brian, we're losing your audio. You're getting really sketchy. We didn't hear that last thing.
All right. I would try to go backwards in the order instead of going forward. Go to the people that say if it's number 5 batter, go backwards. So you're looking at 3, 2, 1, and like that. And then there's less chance of those people being on bases when their time would come back up the bat. You know,
All right.
try to work with the coaches with this. If you think that they're playing games with this, then just basically hold the game up and give this player a chance to get back on their feet and then go from there.
Whose choice is it?
When they go on
Whose choice is it for the strike call, truthfully?
when they go on defense, if they only have 9 players or slow pitch 10, if they only have 10 players and somebody goes out under this rule, can they play defense with 9 without a penalty?
Yes,
can
they would
play-
be able to anyhow. Should they be playing under a shorthanded rule at that point? So they'd be able to play with 1 less. So then when the player was able to come back in, then they would just go back up to 10 at that point.
Brian,
Right.
Bob, 2 questions. First one is, how do we record this? And the second one, piggybacking on Mike, if they're already playing shorthanded and you're going to defense, what do you do?
You're going to record it any way you want to on your card to go from there. It's basically, it's like a little bit like the blood rule. If somebody had to come out and go back in, once they got their uniforms changed, that's probably what we're looking at. As far as playing defense, shorthanded, hey, we're going to try to do everything we can to keep the game going. So folks, if you've got your microphones on and you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
Okay, we had Debbie's laptop had a question.
Okay,
Asked it, Bob, thank you.
Okay, Ryan,
Ryan, I think has one also.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
My question is like, do we say something at the pregame? Do we ask the coaches? Do we like plant that seed, or do they have to deliver that to us?
We don't have to say anything in the pregame. They are supposed to tell us if they have somebody, but there's no penalty if they don't. So that's what we have to go with at this point.
again, keep in mind, this is really a safety issue also, and treat it accordingly, right? You know, there could be that situation or unscrupulous coaches could use this to their advantage, definitely, right?
yeah.
There's no question in that regards. And we want to try to avoid that situation as much as we can, but as Brian has indicated, we're not doctors out there. And if somebody's truly having an issue, we're not going to be the ones stepping in the way to, that they can't get the help that they need to regulate the sugars or, as such, that arises. Any other questions?
Ryan Roberts, did you have a phone or a question, or do you need to put your hand on?
Oh, I need to put my hand down. Sorry, you guys answered my question.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
I just
Go
looked at the chat. I see we had a question from Jim Craig. It said, and I don't have the chat in front of me right now, so it said basically about teams that like to play games. This is what I want to know. If we've got teams out there that are playing games and every week they have a different player that has a diabetic situation, let your league directors know that you think that they might be playing games. Let them handle that. If we get into state tournament play and we've got a team that every game that they're doing this, then we may require that they tell us who the players are before the first pitch. So that way we know. We have ways that we can get around this to enforce it a little bit more. But I think at this point, let's play it out. Let's see what happens. If we start to get a lot of gamemanship with this, then let's crack it down and go from there. So, okay. I'm going to say it's not going to be as big a problem as we may think it will be. But if there's coaches out there that want to play a game with this, and even though the player is taken out for diabetes and he's sitting on the bench and they're not giving him anything to get his sugar levels back up, you may know that that person is not a diabetic then. So, or either that, or we have to figure out what's going on. And if, like I said, if you're in league play and it happens every night you're with this team and it's a different player, let your league director know that you think that somebody's playing games with you. So, okay.
And keep in mind that these rules are also written for national tournament play, which we use the majority of them for our state plays as well. But that doesn't mean that your league can't adopt an addendum to this rule. I know the one league that I was working with, they're looking at the possibility of just skipping that batter and continuing on because of this condition that's come up, as opposed to making that spot in the batting lineup bad at the time. They would have to play shorthanded on defense because you don't have somebody to put in there, but that's what they're looking at. The question really came up around the rocket rule, right? So if everybody was on the team is batting and they don't have a substitute to put in for that batter, what do you do in that situation? And that's why the question was originally posed. All right. Anybody else with a question on that? All right. The last point or rule change for slow pitch is the pitcher has 5 seconds to release the next pitch after receiving the ball or after the umpire indicates play ball. This is a change from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. My first question to y'all, and I would like a raise of hands. I don't care if you turn your video on or you just click your raise your hand button. How many of you have enforced the 10-second rule?
I think I've had more problems with people trying to quick pitch than taking too long.
Okay, so I've seen a couple of hands raised, so I'm going to ask a few questions. Ed, what was the circumstance in your situation that you called the 10-second rule?
Mostly it was in league play. Pitchers getting the ball and just standing around waiting, and the batter's in the box ready to go because he's upset because I didn't call it a strike or something happened and it went on. Normally I'll tell them, say, come on, let's go play ball, gentlemen. And I've had a few instances where they just will think, well, I'm going to show you up. I go, okay, fine. Ball on the batter. Are you going to pitch? It's basically, them trying to say, well, this is how I'm going to do it. But 9 times out of, normally the pitcher's not going to take the full 10 seconds. And I count it like I do in basketball. 1, 2. I mean, it's not like quick on it there. I'll just remind them, say, come on, when play, pitch the ball, let's go. Because I usually try to get them into a rhythm. So
Okay.
that's the only time I've ever had any issues with it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so the reason I'm asking these questions, or that particular question, is I've heard from more than one umpire, how are we going to enforce this? Why are they changing it? What are we going to do? They're all panicked about it, right? So my response to you is don't panic. Okay. This rule, while I don't want to ignore it, because there's a reason for this change, right? Don't ignore it, but use it as a tool. Okay. And that's the way I would suggest it be done. So my next step here in this discussion is the pitching rule. Okay. Starting with this first part, is there anybody that in this discussion that can quote to me the whole entire pitching rule without looking at it? Okay. There might be, oops, sorry about that. There might be some of us that can do that, but not very many. Okay. My reason for putting this up here is if we're more concerned about one part of this rule than the other, then we're doing just service to this rule as well, right? So again, the prelims, pitcher has to take position with both feet firmly on the ground, right? In contact with the pitcher's plate. Okay, again, in the state of Michigan, we follow a little bit more on the seniors rule. They must have both feet on the ground within the 24 inches and the 6-foot square. The seniors have that 10-foot square to be able to work with. But again, both feet need to be firmly planted on the ground. Pitcher must come to a full and complete stop with the ball in front of their body, right? And not be dancing around, moving around with that, right? That's that pause section. Pitcher must be, or the catcher must be in position as well. How many times do we even think about where the catcher is when the pitcher's ready to pitch the ball, right? They have to be in that catcher's box. Okay. So again, that's just the prelims. And then here's the penalty for that section, right? I put it up here so we didn't have to go all the way back down to section 10. Okay. That's that illegal pitch with the delayed dead ball signal. If they swing or hit the ball, then that nullifies the illegal pitch and it's what you get, right? Otherwise, it's a legal pitch. Once the pitch is done, we're calling the ball on the batter. Next part of that, right? The pitcher shall not simulate a legal pitch while not in contact, right? We're not going to allow him to throw the ball. We're not going to allow him to step back and pretend like he's pitching and etc. Again, dead ball, illegal pitch. Then we're issuing a warning, right? And then if he continues, then that player may no longer be pitching either. Okay. Starting the pitch. The pitcher needs to come to a complete stop. And then while he's on the pitcher's plate, and then may proceed with any motion to start the pitch. Legal delivery. This is the one that I think we need to understand the most. Shall not make any motion to a pitch without immediately delivering the ball to the batter. The delivery is a continuous motion. Okay. And what do we mean by continuous motion? Once back, once forward. We're not going to double clutch and all that kind of stuff. Okay. It does say that there's no pause allowed. There is only one pause, right? When you get to the back of your backswing and start, you have to stop one way to go the other way. So you get that one pause on the way back and then let it go on your initial way to the plate. Okay. The pivot foot must remain in contact with the pitcher's plate or that designated pitching area, right? then he can move once the ball leaves his hand. Okay. And that's the foot that's planted on the ground. He can take a step with the other foot. And that could be any direction that he desires, but that pivot foot needs to be on the ground until the release of the ball. The pitch needs to be from the throwing side of the body. Can't throw it behind your back, can't throw it through your legs. Okay. Pitch shall be a moderate speed. The speed is left up entirely to the umpire's judgment, right? So we have a team that's kind of shooting darts. That's when we start warning the pitcher. We warn the pitcher, he continues to do it, then we may have a substitution for the pitcher. The ball shall be delivered with a perceptible arc, right? 10 feet from the ground, minimum of 6 feet. Again, I think if we have to nitpick rules, this is probably where I would concentrate more so. Stopping and making sure that our arc is correct, right? Senior slow play is allowed 12 foot. I don't know what your leagues are, but your leagues, some of them may be 14, some of them may be the 10 like they required. Again, in national and state play, we're using a 10-foot arc minimum, maximum height with a minimum of 6.
Bob,
Yes.
Bob, we have a question in the chat that says, are we to bring up the new 5-second rule at our pregame?
I would say no. Again, I would use it, have it in your hip pocket. Use it more for game management situations. So Ed mentioned that he was having issues with a pitcher that didn't like the ball or a strike that he did or didn't call, right? Get in the box, let's play. If they're playing that cat and mouse game, then you might remind them, okay, we got 5 seconds here, let's play. At that time. They already don't like you because of the pitch that you just called them. Do you want to, escalate that situation even more by just starting to call an illegal pitch every time that 5 seconds is lapsed, right? Yeah, he'll get the message, but hopefully they'll get the message, right? But and again, I know we're not out there necessarily to make friends, but I would use it more as a game management type tool. Okay. The pitcher shall not deliver the pitch from a glove. All right. Defensive positioning, foreign substance. These are all parts of the pitching rule, right? So as we look at this, we can see that there's multiple pages really of the pitching rule. Why are we concerned with one line? Right? Again, I don't want to make a statement that we're not using it because we are going to use it, right? It's there for a reason, but I don't want to make any more big deal out of it than the 10-second rule, right? If we haven't called the 10-second, why are we calling the 5-second? Now, again, it's a tool for game management situations. And with the 5 seconds, we may use this a little bit more. Again, it's really more to have in your pocket to be able to control a game. All right.
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
I think what might help these folks is also keep in mind that this 5-second is not going to count until the batter's in the box, everybody's ready to play, and we motion to the pitcher to throw. Then the 5-second goes from there. It's not going to be as soon as I get the ball and we're going to count 5 seconds. Nothing's changed from the 10 seconds to the 5 seconds as far as what we're looking at. So, and once again, it goes back to, we're all sitting, in front of a computer screen thinking too much about this. But once we get into the game situation and you have the flow going, then we're just going to do what we've done previously. And Bob's covered a lot of information here, but it still goes back to the basic stuff. We have to be ready to play. And then when we're ready to play, including the batter, the umpire, the catcher, and the pitcher, then that's when our time will start.
And that doesn't, to Brian's point, that doesn't mean call time in between each pitch and hold the pitcher up, right? To do that, right? I know the rule says from the time the pitcher catches the ball. Again, if you have a good flow of the game So the pitcher's taking 6 seconds. Are you going to penalize him for that? The game's flowing great, both sides, but he's at 6 seconds, right? Again, it's like the height of the pitch. It's like the speed of the ball in particular. We all have heard arguments of, hey, Blue, that's too high. Okay, that's my 10 foot, right? That's my 5 seconds is the way I would handle that as well too, right? If you're being a jerk to me, that 5 seconds may go a whole lot faster than the fact that we're just, cruising along with the game type situation as well. But I would also argue the same thing with the 10-second rule that we used to have. That 10 seconds can go really fast if, you're not cooperating and, we're having issues with the game at that point as well. So let's take a few looks at these pitches. Okay, what do we have there?
No stop.
No stop. Okay. I will tell you that these pictures, I took these pictures here. This was the pictures I'm showing are in our state or national tournament play. So again, I'm not concerned about the 5-second rule when I have this issue right here, right? Let's look at same one again. Okay. Well, within the 5 seconds, I'm not worried about the timing, but he didn't stop, right? Kind of the same thing, same pitch. A little bit different, same pitch, didn't stop. Okay. Different game, same pitcher, still didn't stop. Okay. So it wasn't just one player, one umpire, one set of umpires in that particular game. Okay. What do we have there?
Wasn't facing the batter when he started.
Okay. Did he stop?
Couldn't tell. It's a little choppy.
Okay. Gets the ball in. He's wandering around. Okay, so he's taking a little bit of time. Okay. I'm okay with this so far. Watch this. He stops there. He's waiting for the umpire. Now the 5 seconds starts. He still didn't stop. He walked right through the pitch, right? It's kind of funny. He asked if that pitch was deep. That one there, he didn't have both feet on the ground. Okay. He didn't stop either, but he didn't have both feet on the ground. Both of those were illegal pitches that I do not believe were called. All right. How about this guy? See anything there?
Looks like he's in front of the rubber.
Okay. What about his width?
Well, his left foot would be okay if the right foot was on the rubber. You only have to have
Okay.
one inside the 24-inch of the plate.
I agree with you on that. So who should get that?
Base umpire, if he can
Okay.
see it.
There's another angle there. Okay, so we can see that he's consistent with it, right? There's the side view. So to your point, he's not even close. All right. So this needs to be in a combination, I can see from the plate that his 1 foot is wide. I can't necessarily tell depth unless it's really obvious, right? But the base umpire can see the width or the depth. He might be able to help plate umpires. Go ask your partner in between innings, right? hey, I'm questioning the guy in the gray shorts, right? From Team X. Is he on the mound or, is he in front of it? I can't tell the distance with his right foot. Is he in front of it? Base umpire may not be able to see the width of it from the left foot. So he can't necessarily tell, but in the combination, you can get together and get that call, right?
Bob, is his left foot, is it touching the mound? Not there, not in that picture, but in the other picture you had.
I will tell you that his feet were pretty much in the same spot every
Okay.
time he pitched.
One thing I'll say, this is a good point to have your base umpire trying to make sure the pitcher's plate is cleaned off because it's pretty dirty right there. It'd be very hard for the base umpire to even tell. So if you are having issues, try to go in between innings and make sure that pitcher's plate is cleaned off as much as possible, especially if he's pretty close.
Okay.
Would
I've
you want
never
to
seen
call
it.
that illegal and then check with your partner rather than wait until the half inning, let him pitch half an inning illegal?
You could.
Would you do that in fast pitch, Mike?
I wouldn't ask the question if it was fast pitch.
All right, hey, Gary, I know Gary's on. I'm gonna ask a question to Gary. And because of his expertise and everything else. And Jamie, I know the other ones are on there too. Has anybody ever said in the game of slow pitch that the base umpires have the feet and the plate umpires have the hands? Have you ever heard that comment?
Never.
Okay, we use that philosophy in the game of fast pitch, and something like this, I think, could be used also in the game of slow pitch, especially when you see as a base umpire how far they are. And let's face it, you can always work your way towards the middle part of the diamond with a runner on to see if that left foot is not touching either. But I think this is something that as a base umpire, Matt brings up a good point. If you're not sure, sweep off the pitcher's plate. And then if that same pitcher does it, then you've got a point of reference. So just something to keep in mind. That's why there's two of us out there.
Brian, just what you addressed, would you, as a base umpire, and you're sure of it in that position right where he is, would you signal an illegal pitch to your plate ump?
No, the base umpire can call illegal pitches also. So this would be one that the base umpire would get at this point.
Okay. So you can go ahead and call it illegal.
Yes.
All right. Debbie's laptop had a question.
Bernie just asked it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Bob?
Yeah.
Would you consider it bad taste to have the base umpire go over to the pitching plate during the inning, sweeping it off and telling the pitcher, I just want to make sure your pivot foot's on the rubber?
I have no issues with that. I don't have an issue with the plate umpire doing it. But
Okay.
I have no issues with that.
Okay.
Goes right back again to, if you have to, go out there and sweep the pitcher's plate off in between innings as the pitcher's coming out to get their warm-up pitches, and more or less just look at them and say, hey, I swept this off, so I'll make sure that to make sure that you're on the pitcher's plate. You can do that at the in between innings, and it's not as obvious as it is if you call time and go out there and sweep it off in the middle of the inning.
Right. So here's the next picture is, this is a situation of our 6-foot mat, okay? We don't have lines drawn, so we still have to use our best judgment, right? So in your judgment from where you're standing, is his right foot in that 24-inch frame? It's pretty close, might be. And this might also be a similar situation, right? When you have in between innings, you might go and say something to him like, hey, I don't think you're, quite there. You need to, take another half a step in, towards the middle of the pitching plate area there, right? I don't see you touching it. My judgment, you're not touching that pitching area that we're allowing you to have. This one even shows a little bit more, right? So here he's taking a step. Not sure that his right foot is necessarily on it. His left foot might be coming down, but the right foot is the pivot foot that needs to be touching that plate area, right? All right. Strike zone. All right. I know we hear a lot of grief from the ball players as they're pointing at the ground, right? The ball hit here, ball hit there. We're not playing mat ball, right? So the strike zone is that space over any part of home plate when a batter assumes a normal position or batting stance between the batter's back shoulder and front knee, right? So as we see here, that ball coming through, it's coming down through any area in that yellow, right? So you got that box, if you will. The ball just needs to pass through any part of that that box there. All right. Again, we've seen this before, right? I know you've all seen this. So any of these pitches going through the strike zone, and I realize this ball is hitting the plate, so it's going to be a ball, but we basically have 5 balls wide that is clearly, in this, through the strike zone. But so is that pitch. So is that pitch, right? So don't be afraid to open it up a little bit width-wise. I would caution you on the depth, right, or the height of that pitch. It's a whole lot easier to reach out, to the other side of the plate than it is, trying to hit over your head, so to speak. If you're, going to give them that high pitch. Okay. Questions? Okay. And this was just a little fun scene that I found, right? I'll let you take a second to read it. All right. 5-man infields. So 5-man infields seems to be a little bit sticky for some of us working the 2-man, 3-man system, and where to be and how to handle those, right? So I realized these guys are playing a little bit back farther than what we normally see, but I will tell you, even at the D level, that some of these guys are getting back there, as we all know, right? And as we look, we can see that there's gaps to be in. Again, this is a 3-umpire system. I totally get that. But as Gary, Jim, Brian have all taught us, draw that line between these 2 guys and stand 2 steps behind them, right? And be able to move. Same thing with this person and this person. Okay. That's a big gap to cover. My fear of being over in here sometimes is that ball coming through there. He's making a great play. You're in the way. So I'm more inclined to be over on this section. But just be aware that there are gaps. They do give you gaps. I know our rule indicates off of the left shoulder with a single runner on the second baseman, with a runner at second off of the right shoulder in this gap here as well. So over here for the single runner at first, over here, if they're pushing you, there's no reason you can't swap spots, right? So again, it's just a starting location to give you an idea about where to be. Don't be afraid to swap spots if they're pushing you over too far. And again, both teams do it, right? This is a 3-man system, so we have the umpire more in the center of the field as opposed to over on the first base side of second base. Okay. So this was a picture taken when we were in that off the line position. But again, just a little bit different angle to see where we might start. Again, this one, the second baseman is probably pushed over a little bit. So swap spots with him. You can still be in a great position to move to your left to get that angle that you need to be able to make that call at first base. All right, any questions? Nothing.
They're either tired or you did a great job, Bob.
All right. Well, that's what we have for tonight's session on slow pitch. I know we spent a lot of time on the pitching rule, in particular, the 5-second rule. And again, I don't want to make light of it for sure, right? The 5-second rule is put in there for a reason, and we need to, know that it's there and be able to utilize it. But if your game is flowing like it needs to flow, I'm not worried about the 5-second rule. I'm more worried about the actual pitch, where the arc is coming in at, the speed of the pitch and et cetera. Jim Inger has a question.
Bob, am I to take away from this meeting that a point of emphasis from our state staff is that we want to make sure that our slow pitch umpires come to a pause before they deliver the pitch?
I would say yes, 100%.
Thank you.
2 participants have a hand raised.
Joe
Joe,
Van Domelen.
I just wanted to add the comment that the 5-second rule is really not going to be an issue. If you've ever had a pitcher that plays around with that time limit, the old 10-second time limit, even 5 or 6 seconds seems like an eternity if the pitcher's on the rubber and ready to pitch. So dropping it back down to 5 is actually, if you actually count off 5 seconds, is actually quite a long time. If the pitcher's, standing on the rubber ready to go, 5 seconds is eternity still. But I am definitely glad that they made this rule change. Funny how it only took 1 game and suddenly the rule gets changed.
I'm sure it was more than 1 game, but it just happened to come in light into that game. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. That's what we have for the slow pitch meeting tonight. Brian, did you have questions that you wanted to ask for this?
The question that I would have for this would be, what is the new time between pitches? Which would be 5 seconds. Also, I would like to, that's the only question we're going to put on there for tonight, for this one. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's participated in our sessions. For some of you that will not be on the next one, the fast pitch session, this will be our last session that we have as far as mandatory or electives. All the sessions will be on the YouTube page for us at our website. Yes, we are still missing one. I have been working with Darren to get the general session put on there. We are still working on that, so we are aware that we are missing one. The second thing to this is that we, starting on April 2nd in Midland at 9 a.m. in the morning, we will be starting our outdoor clinic sessions. And then we will meet again in Holland at Matt Urban Field at 6 o'clock on April 6th for an outdoor session also. Those are just basically open to everybody. It does not count towards any points, but just to get on the field and get to run around first thing in the before the season starts, be a great opportunity for everybody. The other thing that we would look at with this is, like I said, tonight, right now we have 49 participants, which I believe is the highest that we've had with one of these sessions. I appreciate everybody being on these calls. We know we couldn't meet earlier in the year. I challenged the state staff, as I said before, to come up with sessions that we could use for virtual sessions for our umpires. They have gone and exceeded those challenges. And we are doing this for you folks to help make our program a little bit better. and we'll go from there. But thank you again for everything. The fast pitch session will be starting in 10 minutes. You're more than welcome to hang on to that one also for the people who would like to. For the rest of you, you can enjoy your evening and try to figure out how you're gonna get that extra hour of sleep back. So thank you
Ryan,
all for attending.
Ryan
Just
Roberts
to-
had a question. Hang on. Ryan
Okay.
Roberts had a question.
Just a reminder too, before Ryan starts with this question, if you've not already put your name in the chat, please make sure you do so that you can give credit for attending the live session.
I have a question in the chat, Ryan, before I get to you. When is the clinic in Midland? It is April 2nd, starting at 9 a.m. It is a Saturday, 9 a.m. at Red Coats Field. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I don't have a question. I have a statement. There's a lot of teams that are starting to organize, throw together tournaments and stuff like that. So it wouldn't hurt. I mean, if you guys are willing to, there's one in Eaton Rapids on April 23rd. If you want to donate some time or get yourself out on the field and just kind of work a couple games just to kind of get the feel back in your legs. So I'm just throwing that out there.
April 23rd, we also have a tournament in Holland.
I understand that for the ones that aren't going and not going to Holland and they still want to, you know what I'm saying? I'm
I
just
hear
kind
ya.
of throwing it out there.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities in both locations.
And just so you know, that's my birthday. So that's why I'm not doing anything softball related. I'm going to go do something fun.
I don't know what is more fun than being on a softball. I mean, you got the wind, you got the sun, and you got the sand. So what
Well,
else is
depends
it?
on the weather, Brian. April it could snow 4 inches.
All right.
Let's see. Have we had snow that deep in April?
Beginning, yeah.
Yeah, not that deep in April.
Thank you.
I don't think we've had it that late in April. Let me rephrase that. That late in April.
You guys aren't up in Traverse City.